Okay, we are going to get started because we have a lot of information to share this morning. Good morning. For those of you that need closed captioning, the feature is available within Zoom. It's a button at the bottom of the screen. My name is Adam Pearl. I am president and CEO of ArtPride New Jersey. My preferred pronouns are he and him. This morning, I'm a white male in my early 40s. I have short brown hair, and this morning I'm wearing a blue shirt, blue collared shirt, and I have a baby behind me. Really happy to be here this morning. We have some wonderful information to share, some exciting news about what's going on in New Jersey's arts and culture community. I did want to, before we jump into this first presentation, encourage folks to use the Zoom features, the Q&A feature, as well as the chat feature. We will do our best to drop links into the chat feature as we go through presentations and give you information. And the Q&A feature is great if you have a question, and we will definitely stop for questions along the way. And as someone asked, excuse me, earlier in the chat, yes, a recording will be available. We'll send an email out to folks, if not, probably not later today, but early next week with a follow-up, any information and links. But the recording for the webinar will be available through ArtPride's website. So definitely take a look for that if you need it, if you want to share it with a colleague. So we're going to get started, and I'm really excited to welcome my friends and my colleagues from the New Jersey Theater Alliance, John McEwen, Executive Director, and Erica Nagel, Deputy Director. We appreciate them being here with us today and joining us to talk a little bit about ArtPride NJ. I'm going to let Eric and John introduce themselves, and then we'll jump into this great information. Go for it, Eric.
All right, great. Hi, good morning, everybody. It's great to see such a terrific turnout today. I'm Erica Nagel. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Deputy Director at New Jersey Theater Alliance, and I'm a white woman in my early 40s with brown curly hair. I'm wearing a light blue dress with white flowers on it, and I've got a similarly colored blue background.
Good morning, everyone. John McEwen, Executive Director of the New Jersey Theater Alliance. Happy Friday, happy spring. And my preferred pronouns are he, his, him. I am a white male in my early 60s with brown and gray hair, mustache, and small beard. Today I'm wearing a cranberry and green checkered shirt. I have blue wired framed glasses. My background is blurred, and I'm coming to you from Asbury Park, land of the Lenni Lenape.
All right, so we're going to jump into this. Thank you, Eric and John. We're gonna share the mic, so to speak, here. Vince Hall on ArtPride's team is working behind the scenes. Thanks, Vince. He's going to be advancing the slides. So what is ArtPride NJ? So this is a long-term project to help us build equity in the arts in our state. And this year, we're going to be launching the first of what we hope will be a series of salary and compensation surveys over the next few years. This first survey is going to be a baseline, right? So we haven't done this before. This is our opportunity to get some baseline data for our sector. Really excited about this project because it is a collaborative project with art service organizations across New Jersey. I'm going to read the list here so I don't miss any of our friends. Obviously, ArtPride New Jersey and the New Jersey Theater Alliance, but also Arts at NJ, Dance New Jersey Association of Museums, and the South Jersey Cultural Alliance. And each of these organizations are committee funds to support the project. We're all chipping in. In particular, this morning, I wanted to welcome members and friends from the New Jersey Association of Museums and Dance New Jersey. I know some of you have been to ArtPride webinars before. Some, this is your first, so we're really glad that you could be joining us. And we're not doing this by ourselves. We're not pretending to have this kind of level of knowledge. We did a whole big RFP process, and we are working with a firm, Baker Richards. It's a UK-based firm, and they have actually experience in doing just this, researching and tracking salary and compensation. They've done this work in the UK before, and they're bringing that knowledge with them to this project. We can go to the next slide.
So this project is extremely important. As Adam mentioned, this is the first time that such a project is being launched for the New Jersey nonprofit arts sector. I know many of you participate in regional surveys, national surveys, but very often New Jersey, the information for New Jersey is not really very, very strong. Usually it's a very small piece of the pie. Very often that information from those surveys is not widely shared with our field. So we're very excited about this program as organizations are assessing their pay equity policies. We know that low compensation contributes to people leaving our field. It also contributes to a less diverse workforce. Systemic oppression creates wage gaps, and we must see what those gaps are and address them. The lack of public information hurts both the organizations and the workers, and this is a first step towards building transparency toward pay equity. And as I mentioned, this will be extremely helpful because right now, so many people ask for this data, funders, some of our colleagues, that are taking a look at their own human resources policies, and we don't have the information to share with them. So this is why this project is so important to us.
So we're calling this a compensation survey rather than a salary survey, because we know that there's more that goes into a full compensation package than just the money coming home every week. So for the purpose of this survey, when we're talking about compensation, we're including a variety of different benefits, the salary or fee. In a moment, we'll get into why we include fee in that. Health benefits, retirement benefits, life insurance, vacation or paid time off, parental leave, professional development funds, flexible work arrangements, and really any other employee benefits offered by the organization. So you'll hear in a moment about the kind of two parallel tracks of this survey, but we will hear from organizations about the benefits that they offer, and we'll also hear from individuals about the benefits they have access from their employer, and benefits that they might access in a different way. So we're really trying to get a full kind of 360 view of compensation that's being offered within our sector.
This is, I think, one of the most innovative and unique parts of ArtPride and Jay. This is a big reason why we're working with Baker Richards, is that the compensation survey is a dual track survey. So there is survey number one, which is going to be filled out by one particular individual. This might be an executive director, it might be a CFO, it might be a couple of folks at the organization working together within human resources to fill out. But we're having one survey filled out on behalf of the arts organization. And then we're going to be having a separate second survey that's sent out that goes to individuals. And they're going to fill that out. We're going to hear a little bit more about how this is completely anonymous. But this is an ability for folks to be able to provide perspective both on how they identify as individuals and their perception of their compensation. And then the wonderful folks at Baker Richards are actually able to take these two forms of data that are coming in and marry that together. Survey number one, as I said, so as John mentioned, and I think it's important to emphasize who's filling this out. So we're really trying to collect information from all nonprofit organizations in New Jersey for which arts are the primary focus of their mission. So that primary focus is what we're really concentrating on. From the individual side, it's a much wider cast, right? So we're looking for, yes, folks that are working for organizations, arts administrators, but also artists that are working in the state of New Jersey. We're looking for full-time folks, part-time folks, contract, freelance folks, teaching artists, people who are working in the creative industry in all shapes and sizes. But because this is the compensation survey, the one thing that we're not collecting right now, that we're not is in this not in the initial scope of the sort of baseline survey, is information about volunteers and trustees, folks that are not being compensated for their work. So we are focusing on those that are being compensated for their work.
As excuse me, as Adam mentioned, the data will be collected and analyzed by Baker Richards. So all the information shared is anonymous. They will be the only party that will have access to the data. So that's really important for everyone to understand. Once the data is collected, we will then have a written report that Baker Richards will put together showing key findings and learnings. We will share that with the entire field. There will also be a public dashboard that everyone will have access to. Everyone, whether you participated in the survey or not, but you all are going to participate in the survey, right? So the public dashboard, what's so wonderful about that is that we'll all be able to dice and slice this information. And Baker Richards will certainly conduct a webinar showing us how to best utilize this public dashboard for both organizations, but also for the individual workers that are completing the survey.
So just to reinforce what John just said, all of this information will be available to the public at no cost. We will have probably like an artspay.nj.org website that we'll be putting together, but all of the service organizations will have links on our own websites. So if you are a member of the Theater Alliance or a member of Dance New Jersey and you're used to going to that website already, you can just access it right through there once it's released. And you don't need to have participated to view the results. Of course, we all want all of you to participate. That'll get us the most robust and complete data. But particularly, we were thinking about, if somebody's graduating from college and wants to get a sense of compensation levels in the sector, or they're moving to New Jersey from elsewhere in the country, we still believe that they should have access to this information. That's also a big difference about this project compared to some of the national surveys that have been in existence before. There have been a lot of surveys where you can have access by paying for it. You can have access if your organization participated. And there are even some where only the senior leaders or the executive leaders of an organization would have access to it. And although that can be valuable information for the organization, it doesn't actually empower the arts workers to be able to advocate for themselves. So because this is not just a study or a survey, but really the launch of a larger pay equity project, we felt it was essential that this information was available publicly to everyone.
Absolutely, could not agree more. And that's sort of the argument here on why you should participate in ArtPay NJ and why you should encourage within your orbit that we're trying to capture information from. Certainly ArtPride New Jersey and certainly the Theater Alliance and the other art service organizations, the funders that are supporting, that we're going to thank in a few minutes. We're all trying to row in the same direction of a more equitable and sustainable future for New Jersey, and pay equity and really empowering workers and growing our sector together. This is all part of what's driving ArtPay NJ. So we need folks to participate. We need the folks on this call to participate. We need you to get your colleagues at other arts organizations to participate. We're going to need your effort to get that individual survey to all those different types of folks you compensate, from the 1099 teaching artists to the part-time ushers to your full-time executive suite folks. We need all of those participating. The more folks that participate, the clearer and more accurate picture, and the more that we can find out where we are and how we can grow and change. I definitely want to encourage, as Erica said, this is, part of this is empowering the individual worker, and that's what's great about it. So it's both empowering the individual worker, but it's also helping organizations be able to competitively recruit so that we can remain collectively as an arts and culture community strong, and we can have attract and retain the talent that we have and we deserve. So being able to help both individuals and organizations is a big reason behind this. And I know I speak on behalf of all of the art service organizations to what Eric has said, that this is the start of a larger pay equity project.
That's right, Adam. And we really want to, and Adam and Erica have mentioned this in their comments, we really want to make sure that we're capturing the entire nonprofit arts ecology. In order for this survey to be successful, we want to report back to our generous funders that we've had enormous participation. If we only have a sample database, it is sample data sample, that is not going to be helpful to us as a field. So we really are encouraging all of you, your colleagues, the people you work with, as Adam said, everyone in your orbit to participate in this study. So who's funding the work? So I saw somebody in the chat say, is this free? Question mark, question mark. Yes, it is. And we want to thank so much our art service organization partners. As Adam mentioned earlier, ArtPride, the Alliance, Dance New Jersey, the New Jersey Association of Museums, and the South Jersey Cultural Alliance. Each organization made a financial commitment to make this project a reality. We also want to thank our friends at the Grunin Foundation, the Newark Museum, and a generous anonymous donor for their belief in the power of this project. And our friends at the State Arts Council that are making the public dashboard component of this program, which is going to be so helpful to all of us when this study is completed. We thank the Arts Council so much for the support of making that public dashboard possible.
So talking through the timeline, this project has been in development for conversation and development for about a year at this point. So we're really thrilled that we're just about ready to launch it. The working group will be finishing the survey design and we'll be testing it. That will give us a good sense of making sure that all of the questions are clear, that we have a really good understanding of how long the surveys will take so that we can communicate that at launch. So we're doing that over the next couple of weeks. We'll launch the survey in mid-April. It'll be open for at least 5 weeks. We will send plenty of reminders and all of the data will go through Baker Richards during that time. In June, Baker Richards will spend a lot of time digging into the data, making their own analyses, creating this report. We really hope that this report, we know that this report will identify where those wage gaps are, where there are demographic gaps within our sector, and just anything that sort of rises to the surface as they're looking at the data. Then in mid-July, that report will get released to the public and will also open up the public dashboard on the website. The difference between the report and the dashboard is that the report will really show what Baker Richards has identified as kind of the key takeaways, and the dashboard, as John said, is really open for you to go in and slice and dice and compare data on your own. So an example of that might be that you could say, oh, I'm curious what someone with the title of development director at a museum in South Jersey is making compared to someone with the title of development director at a dance company in Western New Jersey is making. It'll allow you to make those kinds of comparisons.
So how can you help? So I think at this point, sort of understanding that the survey is coming and beginning to identify who will complete the organizational survey. So perhaps having a conversation within your organization that says when ArtPay NJ comes, Adam's going to take care of it or Eric is going to take care of it, and sort of identifying that person. As Erica said, we will not be shy, neither will our partners at the other art service organizations and other partners that we're hoping to work with, like your county associations of, cultural and heritage associations. We need you to share the information with all those folks that we talked about, full-time, part-time, and contract employees. And we are going to, as I said, we'll share these slides, and we have an FAQ document excellently written by Erica that's put together. So we'll share that. So that'll be something, a resource you'll be able to share out when folks are asking you sort of, why, and we'll continue to update those resources as we get further into the project. So we need you to share this out. As John said, let us know if you want to be part of the testing group. We're getting very close to that. We need both organizations and individuals to test the survey and let us know what might be confusing or what we might want to change before we do a public release. That will help us get a better response and a more accurate response from the public launch. And help us build excitement and momentum. We're going to be putting together a social media kit. If you're willing to share it, if you can send it out, even if it's an internal email that goes to staff only, that sort of thing, that'll be helpful. The more you can help us spread the word, the more effective that this launch of ArtPride NJ will be.
So what's next? So as Adam and Erica just mentioned, we're in the process of finishing the survey and we'll begin testing it in a couple of weeks. So that will be extremely helpful to us as we put final touches before the public launch, which is expected. My guess, it's probably going to be probably the second or third week of April. As Erica mentioned, we'll give the field probably 5 to 6 weeks to complete the survey. Technical assistance. So while the survey is out and all of you and your colleagues are completing it, all of the art service organizations will be working together to provide technical assistance webinars to assist you and your colleagues with any questions that you might have as you're completing the survey. Certainly, when you do get the surveys, there'll be information there if you do have a question where you could reach out to us, and we will, all the art service organizations will be there to provide assistance while the surveys are being completed. There'll be an ArtPride NJ website that will be accessible through various links at each of the arts service organizations. There'll be webinars. When the data is collected, we will be organizing webinars in partnership with Baker Richards so that we all have an understanding of the key findings and learnings from the data collected, as well as how best to utilize the dashboard, how best to utilize it as an organization and also as an individual arts worker. That will happen sometime in the summer. And then this is not where we're just going to stop. We want to keep this dialogue front and center. We're going to work together to arrange future webinars so that there's more discussion on how our field is utilizing this data for change. So more to come on that, but I think it's really important for everyone to know that once the data is released and we have these couple of webinars with our consultants, that's not it. We want to keep this, as Erica and Adam mentioned, this is the first step of a long-term project and long-term conversations. So we'll certainly be sharing that webinar schedule with you in the future as it's developed.
Absolutely. I think what we learn from this baseline survey will set the course for what ArtPride NJ is as a larger project. Absolutely. So we are going to stop here and take some questions before we move on to sort of the second half of the webinar this morning. We do have one question here in the chat, and if you have questions, stick them in the Q&A or the chat. We'll catch them in either place. This is a question from Kira Rizzuto. Good morning, Kira. So Kira's wondering if there will be some way to view fields in the survey in advance, like a way to prepare to help, I guess, both individuals or organizations complete the survey in full. I don't know that that's something that we had thought of. This is why having these webinars is great, but that's something that we could definitely put together that might be like a one-page PDF that says, as whoever's filling out for the organization to get ready for the survey, here's the kind of things you might want to put together. You might want to pull up these forms, or you might want to pull this information together. I don't know, Erica or John, if you have thoughts.
I do believe in our last call with Baker Richards that I think that did come up, and they were looking into seeing just what you just said, Adam, if we could actually develop a PDF of the survey so that you could kind of look at it at a glance and prepare yourself for the types of questions. But we will certainly confirm that because that is, I think, an excellent idea, and we'll definitely swing back to them to confirm that.
And I'll just add that for the organizational survey, it is going to ask, for every job title within your organization and then the compensation associated. But we're not going to ask you to fill that in live in the survey. We'll have basically an Excel sheet template that you can download, fill it in on your own time, and then upload that to the survey. So hopefully, even though that's not a snapshot of the whole list of questions, it does allow you to kind of work on that externally and then upload it versus having to like type it in 100 little boxes into the live version.
This is great. We have some questions, and these are good questions. So Allison Lorena, chair of the board of ArtPride. Good morning, Allison. Thanks for asking the question. Allison's wondering if an employee's longevity at an organization will be part of the study questions and analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of the questions, right? And Martha Frampton is asking, how can I volunteer for the testing group? So if you're interested in testing, either as an organization or as an individual or both, just send an email to your New Jersey Art Service organization of your choice that we've listed here today. So, whether it's Eric or John, or, our friends at the other art service organizations, NJAM and Dance New Jersey and South Jersey Cultural Alliance, we're all looking for testers. That's part of actually an email that's going around this morning. So just reach out to any of us, and I'll drop my email in the chat if you don't have it. So Aylin Greenham is asking, I'm interested in learning how organizations designate teaching artists, whether it's independent contractors or employees, as well as their compensation. Erica's nodding. You want to take this one, Erica?
Yes, I think this is going to be so fascinating to learn because I think it's really varied across organizations in New Jersey. So yeah, I'm just excited to learn that too.
John, did you want to add anything before we grab the next one? Okay. And Grace Shackney is asking, do you want municipal arts commissions and councils to participate? So government-based entities. I don't know that we thought of that one.
Great question.
Yep. We have a call next week with our working group, right? And we'll clarify that. Grace, thank you for that question.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I know that because of the scope of the project, we had to make a hard choice a few months ago to really focus on nonprofit organizations whose, primary mission is arts focused. So that meant at that moment, leaving some of our organizations that do both heritage work and arts work, but are primarily heritage focused, meant leaving some of them behind at this moment. But there's definitely the idea that this is the start of a bigger project. And certainly the initial baseline survey is one of the largest lifts. Future surveys will be less of a lift for the collective. But this is a good question, Grace, and we will get back to this. Part of the reason why we wanted to have these informational webinars is to talk to our constituents and think of things that have not been brought up.
Excuse me, Adam. I just want to just add that it's really important for any county arts agencies that are on the call with us. The organizations that all of you support is so essential to our ecology. So we really want to have our county arts agencies, certainly any other service organizations. I know our friends at Newark Arts, Princeton Arts Council, all of the folks that you support through your organizations, their input in this study is going to be extremely valuable. So all of us on the working group really want to make sure that no organization is under the radar, that everybody is aware of this study and can participate.
So we have a few more questions, I just want to be respectful of folks' time. So we're going to just take the couple questions that are up here as quick as we can. There's one in the question and answer about what is your definition of equity? This is from anonymous, meaning institutions use this to ensure there is equal pay across race, gender, etc. lines within their organizations, but does not address market value. How do you see this, I guess, Arts Pay, increasing the compensation for the sector overall? I don't know. Eric, go for it.
Great question.
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I think it absolutely is about ensuring equal pay across race, gender, et cetera. I think it also has to do with like the gaps between senior leadership and entry-level workers, and understanding what that looks like in our sector. In terms of, I think this kind of gives us a sense of market value within the sector. So it's hard to know exactly like what is quote unquote market value, because there's market value within the arts organizations, but then there's also like, you could be a marketing director for an arts organization and a marketing director at Google, and those are like two completely different markets. But we do hope that this baseline allows us to get a sense of what actually is market value. And in terms of increasing compensation across the sector generally, I think, as John said, we hear questions from funders about what are appropriate compensation levels. So I think it's good to be able to offer that information to funders. It's also, it gives individuals more information to be able to advocate for themselves. I think we all want compensation increased for everyone, but I think that the fairness is the main goal in terms of the equity conversation.
There's another good question here, I'm sorry, about would the data be reported in a way that one could figure out data from an individual organization? So for instance, carving it so that's definitely something that came up, and the dashboards can be designed to be able to provide the data anonymously. I'm really sorry, but I have to be the taskmaster on time here, and there's some really good questions in this in the chat. And I'm going to try and run through these without. There is a place, right, for organizations that are part of universities. That's in there. I'm sorry for the short answers. It would help to see a metric of compensation as a percentage of overall budget. I believe that also is going to be a way that you're going to be able to include that. And local municipalities, art centers, can they be included? I think we want to come back to that. I think there is a place for that, but I think that is related to another question earlier, and something for the working group to ask. So I'm really sorry about the short answers for those last couple of questions. I want to thank John and Erica again for both your collaboration and your time, and of course, as always, your friendship. Love having you here. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to quickly shift gears here and bring on Anne-Marie Miller, ArtPride's Director of Advocacy and Public Policy. Thank you for being patient, Anne-Marie. We appreciate it. I'll stop talking.
Oh, no, that's okay. Patience is part of this job, right, Adam? So here we go. I am not in my early 60s. I'm in my late 60s. I have grayish hair, blue eyeglasses. I'm white, female, blue-green shirt, and there's small framed artwork on the wall behind me. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm coming to you from the mythical Central Jersey, but it is the ancestral home of the Lenni Lenape. So I'm going to give you just a quick rundown. This should really not take the full 10 minutes of what's going on outside of this survey. The governor presented the budget at the end of February, and there is $31.9 million for cultural projects through the State Arts Council. That is the same amount of funding that has been for the past 2 years. So there is an indication of a small increase to the cultural trust, which we are trying to confirm and within the budget lines to make sure that that's there. And we will have at the ArtPride website and on our Act Now page, an email to thank the governor for this allocation again, and to ask our legislators to support the budget, which we are now deep into state budget season. Actually, Monday, we testifying for Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee in the open public hearings, again in late April. Next slide, please. So simultaneous to the state budget, we're still looking to get American Rescue Plan funds over to the New Jersey Economic Development Authority to support arts and cultural organizations negatively impacted by the COVID pandemic. There is still American Rescue Plan funds to be given out. And this funding is basically looking at the losses that organizations have experienced with relationship to earned income over the past several months while we still recover from the pandemic. Over here, this is S2800, which is the name of the bill. Those were the sponsors in the Senate, and then this is the Assembly version, which is A4233, and these are all the sponsors listed in the Assembly. You can see it's a healthy representation. In the Senate, the bill has already gone from the Economic Growth Committee over to Senate Budget and Appropriations. We're trying to move this bill in A4233 in the Assembly over to the Tourism, Gaming, and Arts Committee. As you can see, it was introduced back in June. So next slide, please. There's an on the Act Now page, a place where if your Assembly members or your senators are not listed, please ask them to co-sponsor this bill. And we keep getting new sponsors, which is a really good thing, but we need everybody to take action and ask for this. Okay, and let's see. All right, so I would be not doing my job, and I wanted to just take a moment to, a lot of folks know Joe Simonetta. He passed away last week. He was our government affairs liaison for ArtPride since 2001. And I just want to take a moment to recognize what he's done. Some folks may not be aware that he did pass away. Joe's vision, his connections, his persistence are tied to the fact that now arts, history, and tourism are linked together in the budget for the foreseeable future. It was his vision that noted that the state could bear a hotel motel tax, as Pennsylvania and New York did. And through that, during the time that Governor McGreevey eliminated the arts funding and tourism and history funding, Joe was our champion and has been for all that time. He always answered my texts, no matter how uninformed or crazy they might seem. And he always attended ArtPride board meetings to deliver the report. And I swear for quite a long period of time, our board members were there to listen and gain all that knowledge that he had. He will be deeply missed. So onward. Next slide, please. So on the federal side, President Biden has released his budget just last week as well. And there is a $211 million for the NEA, the NEH in that fiscal year 2024 budget. It's a small increase, which is actually a good thing, I think, in this political climate. But we will also have another link on our Act Now page, which you just saw the link before, and it's in the chat, to be able to contact your Congress people to ask them to support the president's budget. Next slide, please. So in order to do that, for the first time since COVID, ArtPride is gathering a group of advocates to attend New Jersey Arts Advocacy Day. It's coming up April 26th. And there's a link in the chat to sign up. Vince Hall from our staff will be leading as state captain, and we already have 18 folks signed up. Please sign up as soon as possible. There will be information as well about reduced rate hotel rooms if you plan to come the night before or stay the day, the night after. It is a one-day deal, so we'll meet with the senators and be broken up into groups to meet with your congressional representatives and talk about what I just mentioned, the budget for the NEA, NEH, but there are also other tax-related items, education-related items, visa-related items. There's items relating to the arts all over the place, but there will be ways to focus on delivering a concise message. Next slide, please. And there will be actually, this is the first step. There's a Advocacy 101 webinar coming up on March 29th, sponsored by Americans for the Arts, and the link is up at the top where you can register for that. It's free, and I recommend that to everyone. That's step number one. Actually, step number two, there will be, for folks who are attending Advocacy Day, a webinar on April 20th to walk through logistics and help folks prepare for the visit to Washington. Next slide, please. So since we're talking about surveys, this project will end soon, I guarantee it. But it is really, really important to the state of New Jersey. Actually, Arts and Economic Prosperity 5, which happened a little bit over 5 years ago, was, I believe, instrumental in getting our budget doubled in the state through our state legislature. Letting folks understand how important the arts are for tourism, government revenue, and creating jobs. So there are two parts to this. Number one, if you are participating at going to an arts event or an arts organization that is offering arts events, producers, presenters, if folks come up to you or your audiences and ask them to take a survey, it can be done on paper at the venue or using a QR code also at the venue. This is really important to do. It collects very basic demographic information and information about the money you spend when you attend an arts event. The second part of this is, and you should all have received a special link from Americans for the Arts to do a very short online survey. Those surveys will be due, I believe the first deadline is March 31st. I think they may extend it just a little bit past that, but it is not a hard survey. I actually did it for my local arts commission yesterday. It took me about 10 minutes, and there are some actually good, interesting questions in there that I think are going to be very revealing when this report is done. This report is due to come out at the end of September, beginning of October for National Arts and Humanities Month. New Jersey is part of the national study, and also in New Jersey, we have 12 local partners that are working hard to gather all this information. We have close to 5,000 surveys already collected from audience members, and this AEP 6 is a very strategically planned survey to also make sure that we are getting information from organizations that primarily serve folks of color, whether it's programming, specific types of programs. There's a real intentional outreach for that. So I think the information we get will be very interesting at the least. And then, between the compensation survey and this survey, the compensation survey will go on for a long, long time. This survey will end, collecting surveys from audience members at the end of May, and then sooner than that from organizations. Please, please, please take the survey. Next slide, please. So creating change, the symposium is coming up. I want to make sure everybody puts this on their calendar. May 10th at the Basie Center for the Arts. I know there's going to be a really strong program. It was last year over at Two River. It was excellent, and we're hoping to see everyone at Creating Change as well. Next slide, please. I think this might be the last one, but just wanted to make sure to point out that North to Shore is happening. NJPAC is in the middle of coordinating this behemoth festival. There is a link there for a call to creators on a local level, because the 3 towns, Asbury Park, Atlantic City, and Newark, are involved. This is part of the governor's vision. He has put money in the budget last year and also this year. He's wants to challenge South by Southwest in a Jersey way, and this is the first step towards doing that. And you can be part of this. Please note that NJPAC will be giving out these small grants to enable groups to be part of it. Next slide. I think that's it. Yay, that's it. Thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah, that is it. And Anne-Marie, I don't see any questions popped up. So I appreciate the information. And we went over a little bit today, but we thank everybody for being here. Thanks again to John and Erica from the Theater Alliance. And thank you, of course, to Vince and Anne-Marie on the ArtPride staff for being here, but as well, Jim and Tanisha and C and Megan, the rest of the ArtPride staff, for all they do every day. And hope you all have a nice weekend. Take care and look for that follow-up email with the resources as promised. Stay well, everyone.